Sorry that I didn't come online by 7. I'm actually just 3 minutes late. Was experiencing some technical difficulties, but I'm pretty sure we're ready to go. I'm just gonna be doing a test run on our audio because I'm using the mic, so I don't know if you guys can hear me. I don't know if everybody can hear me. So hi, my name is If and today we're going to be talking about tips and tricks to buying off plan or flipping properties. Um, okay, great. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm being heard. My voice is and the audio is actually working. Great. So we can go ahead. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about the tips and tricks to flipping properties as an off plan or an investor. First of all, I'd like to say my name is Gift and I'm manager of Victoria Acres, and I've been doing real estate for the past 7 years now. And I've helped a lot of my clients up onto early investment as part flip property. I'm going to be explaining to you guys what flipping property is and how you can do it in a smart way. So, what is flip property? I want you to understand as a property flipper, you are a gambler. It's basically placing a gamble on properties that you would buy and hoping that it will have good returns. While placing a gamble, just like as every other thing, there are rules to guiding you. So I'm going to be giving you guys certain tips and trips from my experience that have helped me build or help build trust within me and my clientele, and everybody who has split properties with me had 70% return on investment between 7 to 10 years ever since, and that is a good and positive mark when you come to that. So let's get into it. So what is flipping property? Flipping property means buying a property on a low stage where you can basically see the potential, which is why I say taking an example on property. So basically, you're buying a property right now, and you're hoping that once the developer is done building that property, you can basically sell it for the actual price that it is worth, or the actual price that it is. So you're buying below the market value, and once the product is done, you're selling it at the actual price that the property is actually worth. Now, it has so many advantages. One of the biggest advantages that it's a little bit better than fixed deposit, because with fixed deposit, your interest is fixed, but as a flipper, your interest increases as the value of the properties in those areas increases. So, what are the tips and what are the tips basically helping you to be a smart investor when flipping property? Now, flipping property is not easy as it sounds and as amazing as it sounds. There are cases whereby you can buy a property and it could be an issue of the developer not finishing or the base not popping the way you expect the base to, increase in value, and then you're now back to the baseline where you basically are stuck with a project that you have no interest in finishing up the payment. So let's get into it. So what is basically flipping? Flipping basically means, or let me put it in the way that I've helped clients to achieve this. So you basically buy the property on as an off taker. So you start probably when they're digging or when they are in the carcass stage, and you hop onto the deal and you wait for the maturity date, the date of when the property is going to be ready. And then let's say you buy the property. Let me even use live example. When we're building the Corinthian Residence 1.0, we had a client that bought at 80 million, and the client had a payment plan. Imagine buying a property, you know, last year at 80 million, a two-bedroom. You know the current price rate of two bedrooms at Ikati. The client bought at 80 million, and the client did a 6 month payment plan. And now the current worth of that property is 150 million. That is times two of what you invested inside. So that's an example of flipping the property. The client has the choice to basically start off flipping, or basically, maybe get it as start off flipping early on and basically get it at a bigger price than you. So what are the tricks? Tricks number one, you have to make sure the location and population match. Make sure that there's a high increase in demand in living in that particular location, and there's a huge population in that area. So for instance, when we started the Corinthian Residence 1.0, we had a lot of people that lived in that area. But one of the things that we figured out is that there were not a lot of infrastructures in that segment of Ikate. So we had to invest on infrastructure. That's one of the things I help us. We had the population already. We already had the demand, the amount of people that were willing to live in that area. What we all had to do in our own personal way was to invest in infrastructure. So go with places that have big population and developers are big with infrastructure, which leads me to the second point. Go with a trusted developer. In my case, it's most of the projects that I own, mandated to sell, that I put on the market and I tell my clients to trust on me. So they're basically trusting on me because I'm part of the development process. So number two, you need to find a developer that you can trust. What happens when you have a developer that you cannot trust? Let me not use the word trust. A developer that can deliver. Because you can trust the developer and they still not deliver. A developer that can deliver. In our cases, we've had three projects where we have delivered hands-on. So we're very, very sure. We're using replicated theories that work. So that one made it very easy for my own clients to trust because they trusted on our project and they have seen us deliver thousands of times. So that's why they're able to trust on our project. So you have to have a project that clients and developers, the developers that you can trust and developers that you can deliver. Another thing people need to understand is that you have to flip in seasons. That's a trick. That's not even a trick. That's a trick. You have to be able to flip in seasons. You have to have flip in the seasons whereby the properties are hot. Let's say the first. So let me give you guys this instance. I always tell my clients to begin the flipping process in January to June. You start buying projects that you know developers can deliver, projects that you believe on. You start buying those projects. That's when you start buying them from January, the hard seasons, seasons where they're doing, their first quotations and everything. And then the season to flip is right now. The season to flip is right now. The season to sell, that's what I basically mean. To resell back on the market is right now. We have our project at the Corinthia. Oh, sorry. Someone actually made a very funny joke. That's a good one. Sorry, I was going to read it. So one of the tricks to basically getting it, like our Corinthia residence, right now we are at our fifth floor, and we have a lot of inquiries. We have a lot of inquiries coming in to buy. So if you buy the project right now, the good thing about our project, let me just give you guys a little bit math dimension that I used to do. We're currently selling at a current price in that area. We're selling right now at 250 million for our two-bedroom. But trust me, this not this time is too much. January next year, the value of that property is going to be at 300. So you're already having 50 million that you are 100% sure that you're going to get back when you buy this property at the stage it is right now. And it's going to be a fully fitted and functional home, meaning that we're going to put basic fittings, microwave, oven, fridge to help accentuate the value. We're going to be investing in infrastructure development and every other thing that we usually do. We're going to be doing all of that on that project. So the best time right now for you to gather or gouge on that project, our contract is right now because the market value is going to double in January. And that's when we have our sales period. That's when we have our waiting period. That's when we know we are fully going to deliver that project. That's when we know a lot of people are basically going to be buying, especially the off takers. That's when they're going to be buying our project. So right now is the best time for us because we are on our fifth floor. We haven't started our fittings. Once we start our fittings, the property value is going to go up. Why is it going to go up? Because we're going to be buying the fittings. We're going to buy the fittings needed. I'll be taking some questions in between because I'm getting questions that I'm getting. How many years to get your ROI? So we did a survey. That's another thing about using our organization that we do survey. We don't just bring these points prices blindly, or we tell you you can get it back blindly. We actually give you quantitative data to help back this up. And with the survey that we have with our project, you're going to get your information in 5 to 7 years. Yes, 5 to 7 years. You're buying at 250 right now. So with 250 right now, you're going to be getting your return on investment in 5 to 7 years. 7 years guarantee. 5 years depending on how much work you put in and depending on what strategy you want to use because we also refer some strategies in there. And then after then, that's when you're going to be getting your full on return on investment. And guess what? Not just only do you get like the return, the value in which you purchase this property, we're not even counting if you want to resell at that period in time, how much this property is going to be valued at. So not only do you get your return on investment, you also get a solid property that you can basically sell back on the market and get your money back. and get it at the same price rate in which the current houses in those areas are going to go. So yeah, so three of my tricks rather are: number one, basically location and population are very, very important when you are buying a property. Number two, you have to go with a developer that you trust. And number three, which is very, very interesting, is that you have to learn how to flip. Learn how to buy now, sell later. Don't just, the amazing thing about flipping property is when you give it some time to mature. When you see development process, you see like our current resident 1.0. I knew a client that bought it at we sold it at 120, but for the ground floor we sold it at 100 million because it was a ground floor. Now the client about 100 million is currently reselling now at 150. Why? Because getting that particular structure, like I said, we did some infrastructural development. When we moved around that area, we found out that nobody was putting in elevators in their project, nobody was putting in pool, nobody was developing the road or trying to create a good drainage system. So we invested in all of that. And right now, because of those investments, our property value is at one, and that's the ground floor. So if you're going on a higher floor, you're looking at 170 with your property value. That is amazing. And because we've been able to deliver now and we know we're able to sustain what we have, that's why we are guaranteeing you that this one is going to be amazing. Another thing again that we do to help accentuate the value of our property, that we invest in infrastructures and property management services. We have a property management services that is in charge of our project once we deliver. So we're not just leaving the clients there like that, oh, we've sold to you. We're also putting in, taking some extra measures to coordinate the affairs of the people living there. So we have the general sewage system, we have the general trash system, the cleaners, making sure everywhere is done. And now that project is 1 year old, I wish I can give you guys a recap of where we are right now. If you can go on our YouTube, you can see updates on the Corinthian Residence 2.0, so you can see where we are right now and what we're doing differently in this project. We decided to invest heavily in project management in that one, and this one is going to be so interesting because the project management we're going to be bringing is going to be so exceptional. That's number one. Number two, the way we're going to be running is going to be like a hotel apartment. So it's going to be like a subscription kind of a situation whereby you don't have anything to worry about. You don't have to worry about light. You don't have to worry about, we're putting a central gas system, so you have to subscribe for your gas. You don't have to worry about having like gas cylinders everywhere. So these are the extra things that we're doing, and because we deliver and we have people that trust in us, that's one of the things that people. So flipping property, having the population, having the developer that delivers, and having the ability as well to understand where this property is. And another thing again about flipping is that you have to wait. You have to be willing to wait. You have to, it's called the maturity period. You have to let equity build on it. I had a client when we did the Corinthia residence 1.0 that we sold to them, and they sold it immediately and they only made 10 million naira on top of it. But the client that we bought at 80 that was so patient to wait up to this moment has about twice the margin built on it. So another thing you need to understand, another trick, is that you have to give the property some maturity period. You have to wait for this property to develop, and actually it's just like planting. You have to plant and then you have to wait for it to harvest. Another trick again to building to flipping properties. Always flip properties with the right documentation. I have people who go for distress sales and they can't resell again because it's already too late and people have capped up on it. So you have to also make sure that you are not just banking on any distress sale, you're actually banking on properties with the right documentation. I know people say it's not possible for you to find a good property with a good deal on it. And this is what I do for my clients. I look for deals. I'm not looking for every house because I'm looking for the right deal. And the right deal comes when you have the right relationship going on. You have a group of developers that you can say, please give me at this price, or you know that you've been selling for them and they know that you can give them results and they can be able to give you some results. So that's another thing again. You need to work with the right agency when flipping. When flipping, your money is 50-50. Your money is 50-50. You have to flip with the right agency that has a good amount of knowledge of appreciation history. Appreciation history basically means what is the progressive changes, what are the increments that have happened in this property or in this location over time. You need a a client, an agent that has a good knowledge of appreciation history, a client, an agent that's also involved in the process to some extent. We're very, very much involved in all our projects by doing research, by giving advice, by also going there to observe and also get a progress report from the team. So those are the extra steps we're taking. Not every agent is taking that extra step. So you have to find an agent that is taking an extra step, that once they give you the deal, that you know that you put your money in, they give you the survey, we do our survey, you can get the return on investment by the time. So these are the simple tricks. Having the right agent that has the appreciation issue might not even be the the appreciation issue, but having information and knowing developers that can actually give you at a good price. So at Victoria Acres, we chase deals. We look for the right property at the right price and the right developer that we can. That's what we do. We chase deals. We're not really looking forward to working with every developer. We're looking forward to working with developers that are willing to put in the work. So you need to work with agents that have a little bit of integrity, that can stand their ground, that can also advise developers, and not agents that are willing to sell every and anything. I'll just be taking a couple of questions if you have. I'll also be reviewing all that I said today. You know, in flipping properties, the best time to invest is now. Flipping seasons, you have a season where you buy, have a season where you're looking to sell. Doesn't necessarily, and flipping a season also helps you know the areas that actually grow. Because when you know the areas that can sell when they're supposed to sell, then you know what you're willing to do, or what you're willing to invest in. So when it comes to flipping property, be patient, the location, having the right agents that will give you the right information as well as going to put in the work. It's so very important. And flipping in the right development. Like I said, if you're looking forward to working with me, my name is Acres, and we are a team of development and also agency that deals with helping clients acquire assets. At Victoria Acres, we have our own project. If you go on our YouTube, our first video, we currently have it. I think we put that video like 2 days ago. Please go watch it. It talks about the progress update that we have. You can see comparison of where we are in July versus where we are right now. A lot of progress, and that's to show you how much work we're looking or we're putting in to deliver to you at the exact time that we said we deliver. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy. If you have any question, I've already answered one question from somebody who was asking about our return on investment. Return on investment between 5 to 7 years. If you're much more interested, please let me know. We have a survey where we can share with you. And if you go to our Instagram, which is Victoria underscore Acres underscore LTD, you'll see where we have a mini progress report of where we are in July versus where we are right now. All right, sorry, I'm getting a question. What exactly does property flipping mean in Nigeria context, and how does it differ from development markets like the US? There's really not much difference in property flipping. I don't. There's really not much difference in property flipping between the US and in Nigeria. Property flipping in Nigeria is also the same thing. It basically means buying a project as an off taker and basically selling it when it is, or when it is mature and it's yielding equity, in simple terms. Buying a property where there's basically little to no hope as an off taker, where they're probably digging or at the carcass stage and waiting for it to mature in equity where you can flip it and then you take that. So how does that differ from the US context market? I feel like the only difference that I can see is that with the US market, they are very, very dependent on equity, while here in the Nigerian market, we are very dependent on the inflation. So the higher inflation rate, the higher, because we use real estate properties to hedge against the dollar situation. So that's one of the best tools. So in the US economy, they are really reliant on the equity. So while in the Nigerian market, we're really depending on the inflation to help using property as a hedging material against the dollar. So that's just one major difference. So most investors, rather than going for fixed deposit where you have a fixed interest, will rather go for a property whereby the equity will always go up and it will keep going up. I mean, I can guarantee you that the prices of two bedrooms beginning of this year versus now is totally different due to inflation and hedging. And I also have an article that talks more about the hedging situation at our website, www.victoriaacres.com. It talks about using real estate as a hedging tool against the dollar. So that's basically one of the biggest difference in my experience that I can tell. We've closed with different organizations. Okay, so you started the things to look out for when choosing the property. How do you determine the right buying price so there's still enough profit after renovation? Okay, great. Thank you for this question because I didn't even talk about renovation. So yeah, so determine the right buying price. So when you're, this is why I really don't advise distress, because with distress you need to put in some, in some cases you need to put in some money to accentuate the value of the property and you have to factor that cost. But when choosing the properties, how do you determine the right buying price? The right buying price most of the time is usually determined on what you and the developer is willing to close on. And like I said, when you get a good deal, when you get a good deal is when you know you're getting a good deal is when you know you're buying below the current price. Let's say property value for Lekki for example is 270, 280, 290, and then you buy below the price point, which is at 250, which is what we have. That's how you know you're buying. So when you buy below the price value of the same structure, the same style of properties in that area, when you buy below, that's how you know you're buying at a good price. And when the property also has the ability to do for interest for you, that's how you know. So determine the property after flipping the price is very easy. You just look out for the current price points that other structures with other styles or similar styles have in that location. What is the current price point? And you can also look within and what you're willing to renovate as well to help you accentuate, factor the cost right into it. All right, so let me look at the last question. Because many sellers overprice in Lagos, what negotiation tricks can actually work to secure good deals? I think that would be something I'll say in my negotiation. But one thing I usually give my agents, because we are the ones who are in charge of negotiating, I usually tell them that don't always go with the intention of lowballing a house. And the same thing I'm giving to the flippers. Don't go with the intention of, after all, your switch is not good, after all, your this is not good, after all, this is not good. Go with the intention of, I see your idea, I see your vision. However, I believe I'm qualified as a good candidate to own this home. With this reduction, I'm able to make this, and that. So always go with a point, a point, not just this thing is bad, this thing is bad. And the point could be you having a problem and disguising the solution. So always go with a point. So why are properties? Oh God. Okay. So why are properties very high in? Thank you for the question. I want to ask about why properties are very high in prices. So I will just give you the very simple one. The reason why properties are very high, a lot of developers are struggling with replacement costs. The prices of the land is basically 40% of a property value. So if you put in a land at 40% and construction at 60 to 70%, where are you going to be making much of a profit after spending probably 12 to 24 months on a project? I know people who go and do some, crochet, spend a couple of hours on a project and put it at a very high price, or they put their value, attach their value to it. So where's the value for a developer who spends 12 to 24 months? And most of the, like I said, one of the reasons why the prices are high is because people are using their properties as a hedging tool. So hedging tool is basically just the same way you put your money in a fixed deposit and hoping to get interest that you get, and hoping to get the interest that is being fixed on that money back. That's the same way people are using real estate to meet up with the increase in prices of dollars. So that's why we have a lot of increase in the prices, because people are using real estate to fight inflation. People are using real estate to fight against as a hedging tool to secure their equity and secure their money. Because if you put your, let's say for instance, you put your money in buying a property 2 years ago in Lekki Phase 1 at 170. What's the current price right now? That's 270. So your interest is still in place. So if you look at the dollar valuation, you're losing not too much because you use real estate as a hedge. But if you go put it in other development that are fixed, you're not sure that whenever dollar valuation is being increased, it's going to affect you. It's going to affect you because your 20% is your 20%. Your 20% of that valuation is the 20% of that valuation. But with real estate, the equity margin is about 50%. Okay, this was really eye opening. Looking forward to more sessions where I get to pour out our hearts to someone who is willing to listen. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time and the energy here. I really want us to talk more, and I think we need to also talk more about some negotiation tricks. I always tell people not to lowball, and I'm saying this because it has actually worked for me. When I was lowballing properties with developers, I noticed I was putting myself on the thin ice. But when I started letting them know that I'm here to help, like, build, or I'm here to help add more value to your property, or having me as a clientele would actually give more credibility to your project, and I want you to trust on me. When I tell them that I'm also adding something to it, not just buying, it makes it way more easier. They are way more easy. It's way easier for them to drop their cards, in my experience. So I think maybe in our next video we'll talk about some negotiation tricks. So like one of the things people basically do now is using letter agreement. So that's why there's a lot of increment. My solution, or part solution that I have that would help us decrease the prices of properties, if we could look at, regulations for lands, like land regulations. Maybe if we could have like a static price of what land would be, that would really help, because a lot of developers putting in 40% in land alone. We have lands that are up to $5 million in Lagos. So if you buy a land of $5 million, how do you sweat out the asset? And you're going to be dealing with daily, if you're using a grade B or C, I'm not even going to talk about a grade A contractor. You're looking at 1,600 per square meter in the concrete and formwork. So I mean, maybe one of these days we can sit down and crunch numbers and we can see if it's fair or not. Because I want us to crunch the numbers and see if it's fair. From my own point, I feel like the government should come in and have some regulatory policies in terms of pricing, in terms of stability as well. But it's not just my point that is going to help. We need rules. We just need a little bit more work. So maybe one of these days we could crunch numbers. Live session will just be us crunching the reality of developers and see what we can basically do. Thank you guys. I really enjoyed this session. It was very, very educating. Please, our video on our current child residence update is currently on our YouTube. So please go watch. Let me know what you think. I would love to see your comments. I would love to also see your corrections. I would love to see your criticism as well. I'm very open to criticism. So we can, build this project together and make it like a solution. Thank you for watching. I'm Amadi.